For all the latest news in North Central Washington, go to ncwlife.com or find us on Facebook. Got a news tip? Email us at news@ncwlife.com or call 888-2020.
Hi, we're filming the Life of Lisa Bradshaw show in the backyard of Mark and Michele Huguenin. We're going to be sharing Mark's story, and first we're going to be sharing some time with Mr. Mike Utley from the Thumbs Up Foundation. He's come to meet with Mark and give him a bit of advice, but we'll tell you the backstory as we get going, but just welcome both of you to the show.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming here to meet Mark and his wife Michele. So I can sit here and ask you both questions, but really I just wanted Mike to come and have an opportunity to talk with Mark about whatever advice you could impart, but also just some of the things you were talking earlier about off camera. So Mark is newly in a wheelchair, and it would likely be a temporary situation, but there's a lot of hurdles to get over. Sure. In that. So
the biggest thing, I wish no one gets hurt, but the bottom line is we got to live today. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow may never come, doesn't matter, but we got to live today and prepare for tomorrow, and that's the big ticket. But you know that. I mean, you're a successful businessman and that kind of stuff, wife and raise kids and that kind of thing. So, but again, it's sorry you got hurt or you're through your situation, but Dad, you look great. Sure nice meeting you, good sir. Yeah.
Mark's attitude, I saw him in the hospital a bit after everything, and I was really nervous to go because I didn't know what to expect, and nobody does well with hospitals anyway. But right away, I mean, just your attitude has been extraordinary, and that's what everybody has said who knows you. And I've known you a long time, and you can be grumpy and feisty and all those things. And so I wasn't sure what attitude I would see, because I also know the side of you that's very hardworking and loving and caring and of your family and your friends. So it seems to me that you've taken both of those things, the feisty fighter in you and the kind-hearted guy that wants to be here for his family, and you've put that all together. What's that been like for you?
It's been a journey, that's for sure, but it's I've had a lot more better, good days than bad days, and that a lot of it has to do with the attitude, and so when I woke up in the hospital, I didn't have any feeling. That was quite a shock.
Terrifying, I'm sure.
Very terrifying, but I just chose at that time that I was going to beat it, and I was going to keep a positive attitude and work hard each and every day, and I was going to walk again. So.
One of the things that you guys can probably both relate to, and Mark and I were talking about this yesterday, is that he is a guy who works out, who's always worked out, who's an athlete, who's always taken good care of himself. So as you were, playing football when you had your injury. So that must help a lot. If you guys had been sedentary guys who didn't even know, didn't have that kind of athletic work ethic in you, what difference has that made for you?
Well, for me personally, it's, excuse me, it's, and I explain this, if you're a good guy or a good gal and you get hurt or you're injured or have a situation and you get put in a chair, you're still going to be a good guy or good gal. Mm-hmm. If you're a jackass, before you got hurt, guess what? You're still going to be a jackass in a chair. Yeah. And this is a mindset. If it was easy to be a pro ball player or to be a successful businessman, husband, and dad, if it was that easy, everybody would be successful at it. Right. But it's not. Mm-hmm. But it's the small things that do matter. And when I speak to kids, it's the small things matter. When you pay attention to the details from the very beginning, growing up through your parents and coaching and everything else, you're going to pay attention to this situation and you're going to make the best of it. Mm-hmm. And that's the way I've looked at it from day one, make the best of it.
I think that people are who they are. Michele and I have had this conversation, Mark's wife, and we'll talk with her in a little bit, but people have risen for them, accommodated their house to his wheelchair and done all these amazing things. And then there are people who, you kind of learn who your friends are, for sure. And I told her I've always felt like you are who you are times 10 in tragedy. Like if you're a good person who's going to help, you're going to be you know, at Mark and Michelle's house laying slabs so he can get in and out of the car. And if you're someone who isn't that person, then that kind of gets revealed too. And I think it just cuts to the chase, right? You just kind of know where to put your efforts in people. It's a good lesson to learn. It's a hard lesson to learn, but it's a good one.
Yes, it is. And obviously we've done pretty good because we had so many people over here helping. It was amazing.
And that's a testament to you, for sure.
Well, to both of us.
Right, to your family.
Yeah, to our family. And so, yeah, this community has been amazing, what they've done for us.
So I think we'll take a break now and we'll talk with Mike a little bit about Thumbs Up Foundation and what he's doing these days, living here in our community for 18 years now, you said, right? We'll talk with him, and then a little later we'll talk with Mark and Michele. We'll be back in just a minute.
Get the fastest internet available in North Central Washington by switching to LocalTel and get speeds up to 1,000 meg. Call 888-8888 today or go online to localtel.net.
So we're back. We're going to talk with Mike Utley a little bit about the Mike Utley Foundation and the work they're still doing, but also you were recently inducted into the College Hall of Fame.
I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, it was a great honor.
So how does that go? So they call you up? How does that, I want to hear the beginning.
Okay. What it was, it's basically a 2-year project. Danielle and a gentleman, Lee Russell, put a packet together and they sent it to the College Football Hall of Fame in 2013. And it took time, and I was submitted in 2015, and then a few months later it got on a ballot. So there was 73 of us.
Wow.
Players that have, some guys have been on there for
On the ballot.
on the ballot for years. And all of a sudden, the day before the announcement, it was on a Friday, Thursday night, I got a call from our athletic director to make sure I was home.
Oh.
So Mr. Bill Moose said, make sure you're home on Friday and make sure you watch you know, the show. And so right then and there, I kind of knew that I was going to be inducted to the 2016 College Hall of Fame.
That's really, really cool.
It was absolutely, there's 978 of us, 77 of us now, athletes, and 211 coaches in the history of football.
So what was that, I mean, what was that like for you? How did it, you know, does it take you back to the college days and, you know, the memories and the pictures I'm sure they've shared? And
you know, that's a great question. You know what it brought back to is what my mom and dad have taught us, four kids at home from day one. Small things matter. You know, it brought me back to Pee Wee football, high school football, and then college, but it also brought in, you know, my pro playing, and it just what the game of football meant to me as a person, as a man, as, you know, as a boy playing. But my parents made sure I understood it was a privilege to play the game of football. And I have never forgotten that. And sports is a privilege. My parents allowed me to do it as long as I did the chores at home. And I worked hard in academics.
right.
School was hard for me, you know, personally, where my brothers and sister, you know, they were on the better side of the
academic.
Well, I wouldn't quite go that far, but they were closer to them group than my group.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things. My parents, you know, they treated me differently, not any better or any worse, but just treated me differently when it comes to the academics. My parents sat me down and gave me a time frame to work. Then they allowed me to go outside and play.
Right.
Come back, sit down. That's the way I was controlled as a kid.
Well, one of the things that, you know, I've talked to you a lot over the years about, you know, you always end up bringing up your parents. And my son is 18, leaving for college soon, and we just celebrated his graduation recently. And one of the things I said to him is the older you get, the smaller these 18 years are going to seem, because, you know, you go on to bigger other things in your life. And it's ironic because those 18 years have been like the highlight of my life. But what you say about that, the small things matter, you know, that 18 years and that time you spent in school and then on to college and then into your pro career, all of those things make you who you are, right? So all the things your parents did for you when you were younger, you carry that with you.
Well, absolutely. And that's why, you know, Danielle and I, we don't have children, but if people learn to realize that it's a privilege to have kids and sacrifice to raise them to be upstanding citizens, to be gentlemen, to be ladies, and again, it doesn't take a distract that we all get in trouble every once in a while, and that's why Dad had the boot to put it in the backside when good God split you. That's what it's for. Yeah. And, you know, it comes down to where, you know, putting kids in timeout, that doesn't work. You know, and then, you know, babysitting them with these damn electronics, that doesn't work either. You know, if you take time to get your kids out and exercise on a regular basis, get them in to do their homework before they go to bed, and then get them in bed and then say, these are the rules. Mm-hmm. Kids want rules. Mm-hmm. They want loving parents that lays down the line, don't put a red line and don't enforce it. Mm-hmm. That's nonsense.
Mm-hmm. So it worked for you.
Oh, it worked for me. but again, I watched my dad be the man of the house, but by God, if Mom ever had to ask you twice, yeah, thunder was coming down on you. But we knew that. Yeah. And my parents are still together. You know, Dad and Mom, they shuffle around, they cross the country, and it's great to see it. But, you know, we were just with the holidays with them here just recently, and it's a big deal to be with Mom and Dad.
So then the other thing I wanted to talk about is Mike Utley, the Mike Utley Foundation. So you and I have known each other about a decade. I used to help you with your bicycle rides and things like that in the community. But where's the foundation now, and what has it given to you over the years? I know you've given a lot to the work you've done.
You know, the foundation, the Mike Utley Foundation, we're still out there, you know, plugging along and pushing, you know, the researchers to do the right thing, you know. But our big thing is these terrain parks, the Mike Utley terrain parks, and they're at rehab hospitals around the country. And what they are is there's curbs, grass, there's cobblestones, there's ramps, there's doorways, there's stairs. And what it is that they teach these kids, or parents, anybody who is in a wheelchair, who have adversity with walking with canes, crutches, and so on and so forth. It teaches them in a semi-controlled area to get out there and live in the real world. Mm-hmm. And that's a big deal, because if you stay at home, you start becoming a burden. Mm-hmm. You know, I know Mike Utley, I know Mark, we are not burdens on society. Mm-hmm. And when you sit around the house and you don't go out there and learn to work through adversity in a controlled area, mm-hmm, you're not going to go out in the real world and take charge.
And your life gets really small then.
It does. Right? Mm-hmm. And I tell people, what you give of yourself will grow, what you keep you'll lose forever. By getting out there and letting people see the way you interact, you hold your wife's hand, you yell at your kids, you chase your kids, you know, you discipline them. This is reality. This is real. Mm-hmm. So get out of your chair and get out there and live your life. Mm-hmm. Happens to be with the chair, I get it. But this is what the foundation, this is what our #1 project is now, mm-hmm, is to do it that way. And when I tell people about what the foundation has given me, every single time I go out there and see these rehab hospitals, to see guys like Mark, it says, what I'm doing, small things matter, and I'm still doing them today. If I would have done it 25 years ago, mm-hmm, I wouldn't be here today. Mm-hmm. It's a big deal. Small things do matter. Well, you're a big guy and you matter a lot. Look at you. So I'm really glad you're here, and I'm glad you came to talk and meet Mark, and it's been a pleasure knowing you all these years. Thank you. We'll be back in just a minute. We're going to talk with Mark and Michele Huguenin.
Please join us weekly for the 12th District with yours truly, Kerry Condata. Check your channel guide for times or go to ncwlife.com for details.
Hi, we're back. We're talking with Mark and Michele Huguenin. I've known them a very long time, and we've all seen each other through some adversity, but this recent illness of Mark's that has left him hopefully temporarily paralyzed from the abdomen down has been quite an adjustment for them and for their family. But we're here to talk mostly about the community and how they've risen for this wonderful couple and family who've worked and lived in this community for over 2 decades. So thank you both for being willing to have us here in your lovely backyard. Thank you. and tell us a little bit more. I know part of it, Michele and I have been talking for a while about doing this, and we wanted to really focus on the generosity of our community, but first let's tell people a little bit about what happened to you, and that you weren't feeling well. You went to the doctor, and
Yeah, it started off as high fevers. You know, I had a fever, I think it was on a Monday. Is that when it happened, babe? Was it on Monday?
Sunday
yeah.
night.
Sunday night. So Sunday night, and then that evening I got rigors, which is when I get really cold. You know, normally I one blanket on. This night I had to throw on like 4 or 5, and I was just freezing cold. And so this continued for approximately a week, about 5 days, off and on. And
they were more like flu-like symptoms, so nobody was too sure what was happening.
yeah, it was just
fluids, rest, you know, try to
Yep, exactly.
write it out.
Yeah, try to write it out. And so Michele can elaborate on the rest.
So then that following Saturday morning, he woke me up about 3:30 or 4 and said, I can't move my legs, I need some help. And so he straddled behind me, and then I dragged him down the stairs and out to the vehicle, and then they put him in ICU almost immediately and put him in a drug-induced coma, and then went from there, and he was in there for nearly a week, I believe. And then from there he went to PCU and then on to rehab for 30 days. So we just got home on May 4th.
So then where the community comes in is that you live in a tri-level house with no access to the kitchen or your bedroom or a full-use bathroom. So you didn't know even how you were going to get home vehicle-wise because you couldn't get into your truck. So all of that on top of what you're going through, tell us about how the community rallied for you in that way.
I was kind of, first of all, it started with the people he worked with, that he works with. They're amazing.
Pacific Aerospace and Electronics.
And you worked there how long?
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, and they have been tremendous, tremendous. They did fundraisers at work. They raised, I think, around $4,500 for us. They, guys from work came in and built a ramp so I could get in and out of the house, and put on French doors so I can get in and out by myself. And then they redid our bathroom. So it's got a roll-in shower, so I can shower in the wheelchair.
It was a laundry room, right?
Yeah, it was a laundry room. They
convert
converted the laundry room into the garage and then turned that into a full bath. So.
And then moved your laundry room to the garage.
Yes.
Built you one there.
Yeah.
And some of his coworkers even took their vacation days to come out here and work on the house.
Yeah, so it's just overwhelming.
And you had a gravel driveway, so then they poured a slab. So
That was actually the Grace City Church.
Okay, so talk about that. So Apple Blossom.
Oh my goodness.
Long story. You end up on stage, and
Yes.
I heard that over 100 families are nominated for this Grace City Church giveaway that they
100.
give, and there were over 40 nominations for your family.
For Mark.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the big reveal, and we're going to show a clip of that, so we can that'll speak for itself. But you get all of this, even the car from Sangster Motors to get home.
Yes. Yep.
What was that like? Because you're in the hospital watching, and you're on the Apple Blossom stage, and we all know how you love to be on stage around a lot of people. So what was that like for each of you?
For me, it was really scary. I didn't want to go up there, and he was calling on people, and I kept saying I didn't raise my hand, and he kept making me go up there. It was a big surprise.
You thought you were part of a game.
I thought it was part of a game.
Like a game show.
To win like a gift card or something. I did not want to go up there. Yeah. And so.
But what was it like knowing what the community did and pulled together for you? And I mean, just even the car, you know, all of the things that were given to you. We'll take a look at the clip, but talk about that a bit.
It was amazing. So not only that, but even more emotional was when all the people came up on stage behind us that had nominated Mark. That was very emotional. And there were some people, I didn't even know who they were. Right. And so just for the community to come together, like, that was amazing. And then when they offered different things, I was very, very excited. They snuck her 2 kids in early, and so they were watching it with him at the hospital, and so then that was a surprise. And then
they were away at college.
Because they were away at college, and then they surprised us with, you know, the driveway, and then all of these other things, and then the car, and so it was amazing.
So tell us a story about the car, because you didn't know how you were going to get home. And didn't Sangster Motors send cars over for you to try out?
They did. We had a way to get him home. I was going to borrow a friend's car, but he has several appointments a week. I had no idea how we were going to get there. And so Sangster Motors, Corey Sangster, brought over 3 cars to the rehab clinic for him to try to get into after the big reveal, to see which ones. And 2 of the cars weren't even from his dealership. He had to buy them from another dealership.
Just to make sure
we got what we needed. It was amazing.
Pretty amazing, it was. And so I got to watch it in the hospital bed with the 2 boys, and of course they were in on it, and I think a lot of other people in the hospital were in on it, but it was overwhelming. And actually, I'm not a crier, but I bawled like a baby. I did. But it was very emotional. I've never had anything like that happen in our lives before, and it was just amazing. Because there was a lot of unknowns, you know, how are we going to get home? How are we going to pay for everything? You know, all that stuff.
How are you going to convert your whole downstairs into a place that you can live and function?
Yeah. So
kind of like the things Mike was talking about too, is like your new life, but you didn't want it to be so small. You didn't want to not be able to maneuver your yard and get in and out of your house yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I was here with you yesterday, kind of scoping out where we'd be filming, and Michele and I were working out the details we weren't telling you about. And just seeing you, you know, you were outside and then you're inside and you're doing this and you have a gardening area and you're watering the flowers. There's all these things that you're still doing in addition to your rehab all the time. Yeah. So you're not sitting in a bed feeling sorry for
no,
yourself.
I'm not. No,
Yeah.
I try to. I can't do everything I used to do, but I try to make the most of what I can, and try to improvise.
Well, the reason I wanted to have you both on is because, you know, throughout this ordeal, you know, I got the text message from you when this started happening, and, you know, it's hard when you're in a tragedy situation in a hospital. You know, you can't talk on the phone, you can't. So our communication was through text, and every time I would hear about it from somebody else, they'd say, did you hear about what happened to that really nice couple? And I'd say, yeah, they're good friends, and everyone was saying such good things about you. And so as the story spread, it never changed. It was always, did you hear about what happened to the Huguenins? And they're such good people. And so I just wanted to give you both an opportunity to thank the community and tell your story in a little more detail. And so
The community is amazing.
I've
never seen, and Mark has always been the one, and he never wants kudos for it, but he's always been the one that's first one to step up, give you the shirt off his back if it's the last thing he had, always, and never thinks twice about it. When this happened, I would get messages over Facebook from people I didn't know he went to high school with that would say, Mark did this for me in high school and I'll never forget it. And then I'll bring it up with him and I go, I don't even remember that. You know, but yet somebody that's hung on to it all these years.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and then it comes back to you tenfold, right?
Sure
It does. It does. And
yeah.
it's pretty amazing. It really is.
Well, I wish you both the best, especially as you know, work to try to recover, have that full recovery I know you're aiming for. So
absolutely.
Anything I can do.
Thank you.
Let me know.
You're awesome.
Thank
you.
you.
Very much.
So thanks for having us here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So they're just going to visit here for a bit this afternoon. One of the great things about doing the show is helping things like this happen. So just again, want to thank the community for their support of Mark and Michele, and thank Mike for coming. And just really an honor to do the Life of Lisa Bradshaw show here in their yard with their family, helping tell their story. I truly believe in telling stories, being willing to tell our own story and helping someone else, and Mike did that today. So I'm appreciative for that as well. Join us again next week for Life of Lisa Bradshaw.
Stay up to date with what's happening in North Central Washington. Go to the NCW Life Community Calendar at ncwlife.com.